Hey everybody, Ian Batra here, and today I'm going to make a video about one of the things that, above all else, probably has had one of the greatest impacts on my life since passing the age of 40. And today we're going to talk about hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, or testosterone replacement therapy for the males. But it's also a super important topic for women. And we're going to do some future videos and talk all about hormone replacement therapy for women. It's a more complicated subject. And today I'm mostly going to tell my story, but also give you guys what I think is a good roadmap on what to do if you have an interest in hormone replacement therapy and kind of give you. So I'm going to do that right up front because I know sometimes you won't finish the whole video, and I'm going to give you what I think is sort of the roadmap on how to find out if you need this, what it is, and what, like, sort of what you would do or what I would do if I had to start all over, because I sort of fumbled my way towards where I ended up, and you'll hear that through my story, which I'll tell you in just a bit. But first and foremost, if you are having symptoms, lethargy, lack of motivation, trouble recovering from your workouts, maybe sleep issues, libido issues. These could all be signs that you are in need of some sort of hormone replacement therapy. Now, it's not that I'm not a doctor and I can't diagnose nor can I prescribe these things. So I'm going to tell you what to do if you're having symptoms. But if you're having symptoms of hormone issues, the first thing you got to do is you got to figure out how to get tested and evaluated by a doctor that knows what the heck they're doing. And I'm going to warn everybody right now, if you go to your regular doctor who is part of an insurance network or part of one of the major membership hospitals, I'm not naming names, you're most likely going to get one of two reactions. They're either going to try to talk you out of getting hormone replacement therapy, or even talk you out of getting tested, or they'll, if they're the type of doctor that's well read and more knowledgeable about the subject, they might say, well, that's a great thing and I wish I could do it for you, but I'm not allowed, because they're not allowed to do what's called off-label use. And that means they can only prescribe drugs in the exact fashion, and prescriptions in the exact fashion for which they were approved by the FDA. And I'll just give you a quick example. Testosterone therapy is only approved for postmenopausal women. So if you are a perimenopausal woman who they can prescribe you estrogen and progesterone, that's a different story. But if you need a woman who needs testosterone therapy, and she's premenopausal, of any sort, then that's considered off-label use. And even though it may be the medication that is required, that doctor's not allowed to prescribe it if they're part of these networks. Now, if you go to a doctor that's a hormone specialist, most likely insurance will not cover this. You're going to have to pay out of pocket. But a doctor that's knowledgeable, doctors are allowed to prescribe things that are off-label use. So if you're interested, what you need to do is find a doctor that specializes, and I'm going to give you the keyword, it's bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Now, same thing as testosterone replacement therapy, because obviously testosterone is the bioidentical hormone. There's various types of estrogens. There's multiple types of estrogens in the estrogen family, but the estradiols that are usually prescribed for a bioidentical woman, or to women who need bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, those estradiols are the naturally occurring ones, and they're not the estrogens that are associated with cancers and stuff. They're the hormones that become deficient as women go through menopause and age and need hormone. And why would someone need bioidentical hormone replacement therapy? Why are we deficient? Well, there's a lot of theory. Nobody knows for sure, but there's a lot of theory, and one of the theories is our environmental toxins are terrible food, but we're also being dosed through our water supply with chemicals, with hormones that are making their way into the water supply. So our systems are being bombarded, and our endocrine systems. So any way you cut it, there's an epidemic of men and women that have problems with their hormones. I believe one of the statistics I heard is today the average 30-year-old has the testosterone level of a 50-year-old male 50 years ago. So we are losing testosterone left and right. We're also losing fertility, but that's a different conversation, and that has nothing to do with this video of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I'm past having kids, so if you're looking to do hormone replacement therapy and you're still looking to have kids, that's a whole different discussion. And again, something I would recommend somebody towards a doctor that specializes in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Now, if you choose to go look into this, you've got two options. Now, if you're in a major metropolitan area and you want to go find a doctor that specializes in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, it's going to be pretty easy. There's some great doctors in LA. There's great doctors in the San Francisco Bay Area. There's great doctors in New York City. Now, if you're in a smaller town, you may have to go further, but you can try to see if there's a local doctor. And if a local doctor will take care of you, you can just go visit them like you would another doctor. Find out what their fees are up front, because again, you're probably paying out of pocket for the exam and the blood work and the medications. So you can look into prices. But if you're the type of person that prefers to see your doctor in person, those doctors exist. But even if you're in an area like I am, where there are doctors that I could go see in person, I still chose to go the telehealth route. It's just easier. My doctor puts in my order at the lab. I go down to LabCorp. I get my blood draw. They send him and me my results, and then I can look at my blood results online, and then we talk about it. We get on a phone call. We talk about my blood work. He makes any adjustments to my medications, and so the telehealth route is a great route. And there's some wonderful telehealth practitioners. I'm not affiliated with any. In a private message, I'm happy to recommend to people. Or even send people to my personal doctor, but who does do telehealth. But if you look around, there are again wonderful doctors out there and other resources to get doctors. But again, find a doctor that does bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and you can find out if it's right, because the first thing the doctor is going to do is get you checked. You don't know until they see the numbers, and if of course if you're having all the symptoms of hormone issues, but then they check your numbers and maybe your numbers are perfect or everything's high, then again, that's a discussion with the doctor, because you might be looking in the wrong place and you can rule this out. Now, if it is the scenario where your numbers are off, then the doctor can treat you appropriately with the appropriate medications. And then get you into my story. I'm 41 years old. I've been pre-diabetic blood sugar for about a decade. I used to be extremely fit. I'm still a relatively fit and healthy person. I mean, people know, but I'm not, the lean bodybuilder type body that I had when I was in my 20s. And I had come out of, played high school water polo, dabbled a little bit in college, didn't go on to play college water polo for a career. However, I was in shape as a swimmer and water polo player. And then I switched, freshman year of college, getting out of sports. I gained a lot of weight and basically got very out of shape. So and of course, I was studying exercise physiology and biomechanics, but I got very into weight training at that point. I'd always lifted weights for my various sports in my athletic career through high school and into early college. But as I had become out of shape, I became fit. And one of the things I talk about often, or even my wife will note, because she hadn't met me at this point yet, but when she met me, it was all vanity based exercise. So I wasn't really concerned about health. I was concerned about having six pack abs and ripped arms and being in extreme shape and lifting heavy weights and just looking good. And as time went on, and I met my wife, and life moved forward, and I got married and I want to start a family. Being ultra fit was no longer a priority, and as such, I decided to I decided to or I say I didn't decide. I shifted my focus more towards uh, making money. And I had at one point I had a full career change. I had been doing sales in the nutraceutical sports supplement industry, so still around the fitness industry. Not as good at working out or as in good shape. I mean, I'm still strong and still fit, still lifted weights, but I had essentially gained a lot more belly fat and starting to get out of shape. And I shifted careers and I went all full bore into money. Became very successful in my other career, which obviously it's people know, if you were to Google me, you know what I do for a living. Otherwise, but that has nothing to do with my sort of lifestyle and health fitness world of what I do. And so I was focused heavily on making money, and having started a family, I gained weight, and over the decade of my 30s, I basically put on a lot of weight, got very out of shape, and as I would go to the doctor, get my blood work done, my blood sugars were pre-diabetic. Cholesterol's not terrible usually. Sometimes triglycerides are a little high, but if you were to look at it and analyze my blood work was never great. But of course, doctors don't check things like hormone levels. So my doctor would basically call me fat. Not in those words, he wouldn't say you're fat, but he would say, "Oh yeah, you've been in the and remember, I was a weightlifter, so I had six pack abs and was 235, 240 pounds at various points of my weightlifting time. So now I was 265 and I was carrying a lot of muscle plus a lot of fat. But my doctor would basically tell me I was obese because I was on the BMI scales. My doctor would essentially call me obese every time I went in, and he told me, "Oh yeah, well if you just lose weight and you just exercise and you eat better, then your the fatty liver will go away and this and that." He would tell me these things, but what he didn't realize is I wasn't really in that bad a shape. And in fact, I was still reasonably active. And I felt like my weight was creeping up. And then my wife, who was eating virtually the same food as me, the same amount of food, the same diet, she would um, she wouldn't gain any weight. She was maintaining an ideal body weight, looked fit, and here I am eating the same as her, 100 pounds heavier, and just slowly creeping up and gaining weight, having this pre-diabetic blood sugar, and I eventually developed sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea. All these problems keep happening, and one day, as testosterone TRT and testosterone replacement therapy, HRT, various names, when it became popular, and I mean, I knew what it was, but I tried natural testosterone booster. I tried everything, and I came across, one of those telehealth online ads for a company I didn't end up going with for my treatment, but they had a home test. So I don't remember the cost I paid. I might have paid $50 or $80 to get a testosterone test. And the test comes back, and I remember getting the data. I had to milk my finger, put blood on this dial. It was kind of an awful process. And now my current doctor just sends me to the lab where it's just a quick blood draw. Depending on how many things he's testing, I might need a couple of vials, but one or two vials, and that's it, at a lab. But this was one of those I had to prick my finger and milk it, and I put it on this card. I won't name the name of the company because the company's fine, but they're a little expensive, and so I don't want to talk bad about them, but they're not a bad company. They're legitimate. And so I got my results back, and my total testosterone came back at 98, which, if you know anything about testosterone, under, I think the bottom is around 300 for what someone should be. And if you have a 300 testosterone, you're most likely going to see symptoms. A lot of times men under 400 will start seeing symptoms. So even though they're within a range, if their testosterone's down in the 300-400 range, they're going to have the symptoms of low testosterone. They're going to have the trouble recovery. They may see decreased libido. I never had decreased libido, but I definitely had weight gain. I was noticing a decrease in motivation. So my testosterone was in the toilet basically at 98. So a good friend recommended to my current doctor. He was getting treatment from this doctor. He said, "Hey, this doctor's really reasonably priced." And he kind of told me, he's like, "Yeah," and the way my doctor does it is I pay kind of a blood work and exam fee. I pay like basically I'll give him pay like a fee, and he'll put in my blood work, and that includes the consultation, and then I pay monthly directly to my doctor, and then he has the pharmaceutical drugs from a compounding pharmacy. He has my testosterone shipped to testosterone and syringes, needles, everything I need. He has it shipped directly to my house. So, and he's great. He's available. He responds to my text messages, responds to my emails. So it's a great relationship, and I'm very happy with it. So my friend had recommended me this doctor, and so I reached out to him immediately. Before I chose to go with the telehealth company, the other telehealth company, I tried calling the doctor, and he responded immediately. He said, "Hey, sounds like you're having some issues," and so he asked me to forward my blood work to him, which I did, and then he wanted to do a retest to confirm because he's is those milking the finger things. He said he'll use that as one, and then do a blood draw for the second. And then he got me on a protocol, prescribed me put me on testosterone replacement therapy, prescribed my dosage, and had it shipped out to my house. And it's an interesting thing to note. Most men who get on testosterone replacement therapy, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, they'll start to notice a big benefit. I must have been really starved for testosterone. I think at 98, my androgen receptors were just so ready to for the testosterone. I noticed it within the first shot, just a couple days in. I felt better. I felt wonderful. I practiced hot yoga. I went to hot yoga. Like a couple days later, I felt stronger than I'd been, in my various postures. I had been slacking on wanting to do strength training, and as soon as I got on testosterone, I started wanting to lift weights again, lift heavy things. As my friends and I joke, we wanted to lift heavy objects and put them back down again. And I got that urge and that motivation to lift weights again. And so I got out, exercised over the course of the next 6 months, a year. Continued body fat loss. One of the first things I note too was I got a lot hungrier. So immediately my appetite went through the roof. And remember, I mentioned how I would eat the same as my wife, 100 pounds less than me, and still gain weight. My appetite went up, and I wasn't watching my diet. I generally do watch my diet, but I'd say if anything, my diet got a little worse because I was trying so hard to maintain my weight. My diet may have gotten a little worse. I got a little bit because I'd be hungry. I would eat, I would eat a sandwich when I shouldn't, or do things, and yet I continued to see the loss in belly fat. I noticed that my arms and shoulders began to fill out again a bit, and I saw increases in muscle mass in places that typically I built a lot of muscle before, but I was starting to see more muscle build up on these areas again without doing much. Again, I was still not working out heavy, and I've increased my exercise volume significantly over the past year or so. But at the time, I was easing back in slowly, and generally my feelings of well-being, how I felt at work. Obviously I'm in an industry where I have to do a lot of selling and sales meetings and stuff, and I felt more confident in my meetings, just generally better. Libido, which again was not a problem for me, it went through the roof. Bedroom performance went up significantly, and overall, for me, it was sort of a miracle cure. The most interesting note, remember I mentioned I always had the pre-diabetic blood sugar. Um, my blood sugar dropped about 2 to 3 months into the therapy. I went to the doctor, had a blood draw, had new blood work done again. My blood sugar, which had always been somewhere between 107, 120, was down at 86, the lowest I'd ever seen my blood sugar, which then dropped my A1C. And this is the only change I made to my, mind you, I said maybe my diet slipped a little more just from increased appetite, but it was never bad. I still eat well. And that was what was so strange to me about my pre-diabetic blood sugar was that I was doing all the right things and yet still had the high blood sugar. So as soon as I got on the testosterone replacement therapy, it dropped my blood sugar almost, within a couple of months of I got my all my updated blood work. And ever since then, my blood work has been good. And when I check in with my doctor, my hormone doctor, we do the blood draws, and then we get on a phone call and talk through things. And my numbers all look good. My testosterone levels are great. I think last time they were over 900, not quite 1,000, but over 900. So we're not. I'm not on a. And again, I'm not on a steroid cycle here. This is testosterone replacement therapy. So I'm on a dose to get me into an optimal range of testosterone. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm just trying to be fit, active, and around a long time to see my daughter grow up. So again, this is my story. I hope this helps you guys. It's been a life changer, game changer for me. And again, we're gonna have more videos. I want to do some videos about bioidentical hormone replacement for women, because after I had such miracles happen for me, I did get my wife a different doctor than I have, because I got her someone who specializes in women. But her story is kind of incredible too. And so I'm a huge supporter of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy when needed. And one of the things I'd like to do is, bring you more information from doctors and specialists and people. But I hope this story helps and point you in the right direction if this is going to be something that's right for you. So again, I'm Ian Batra. This is my bioidentical hormone replacement or testosterone replacement therapy story, and I will bring more content in the future. Cheers.